So good morning. Today is December 1st, and we are privileged this morning to have William Peach here to chat with us today about multiple offers. Just to remind you all that this is not a CE class. We'd love to see you, but you don't have to. And we will be recording this. So Maryland law requires that I let you guys know that. So I'm turning it over to Laura Anderson, our current Midshore Board of Realtors president, to do William's introduction. All yours, Laura.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. This presentation really means a lot to me with the multiple offer situation that we've all been in. I felt it was important to have a presentation that we handle correctly and professionally. And so my manager, William Peach, will go over many questions on this subject. And so let's get started. Thank you, William.
Morning, everybody. I'm going to share my screen, hopefully. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All righty. So in order to make this class any fun at all and not be the worst class you've ever been to, you guys are going to have to participate.
Transferring call.
So if you go into the chat, you can raise your hand or you can type in questions. I've got a list of questions that Laura already gave me. I thought we would start with the discussion. But this isn't William telling you the way to do this. I just want to hear from you guys as well of what you're already doing. And as always, I'm not an attorney at all. I've just been doing this since 1912. And so have a lot of experience. And we've been talking through it in our office. We do a meeting almost every Monday, and we just go over stuff like this. So multiple offers has changed the way we live. Any of you guys have been around in 2005, you've been through it before, but I find that it's a lot different. The escalation clauses are different. Some of the ways we're doing things and allowed to do things are different. So I'm going to go through the questions that I've got so far, and then we will open it up. You guys can ask anything you want, but feel free to raise your hand or type in a question as we go. The first question is, are you guys doing a summary page? So when you create an offer and you know that there's 32 other offers, and you want to be sure that the agent understands what your offer entails, I think a summary page is a great tool, especially if you have anything unique. Debbie and I were just talking about a case that happened down in Anne Arundel County a while back where an offer was presented by an agent driving down the street at 55 miles an hour and calling the seller and saying, "Hey, Laura, it's William. How are you? I just got an offer. It sucks. You wouldn't believe it. It's $400,000. I'm sure you're going to say, go tell them to pound sand." And they said, go pound sand. But the offer included the ability for the seller to use the buffer building for 4 years, be able to still farm the land for 2 years, things like that, that were never communicated to the seller. And then later when the
Wink Cowie's on the line.
Take my offer. Hold on, I'm going to mute.
Wink Cowie.
Yep.
Remember the agent? She's
Use the agent's name.
she lives in Nevitt and she has signs all over the place.
Debbie, can you mute them? I think we got it. Okay, I don't want to use any agent's name because many of you guys have been around a while and know this story, but I just want to use it as an important buyer's agents. We want to make sure that we are communicating what we want to make sure that the seller sees. So if you have important pieces to that offer other than just price, you want to make sure you put it in the summary page, because if there are 27 offers, things get lost and missed. Okay, the first question came in. If you're telling everyone that all offers are due on Monday and you get an offer on Friday, what do you need to do? I'm going to mute somebody. Hold on. Debbie, did you mute everybody or you want me to? I can. Don't get mad, I'm muting you. Oh, it won't let me, Debbie. You're gonna have to mute him. I'm not the presenter. Hi, I'm back. Debbie was so good at it, she muted me. If you put an offer, so you put the house on the market on a Friday, and you say you're gonna open all offers on Monday. The question often comes, what should we do with the offers that we receive during that weekend? And more importantly, what if on Sunday, the seller gets an offer that they wanna take? Can they take it? And the answer is yes. Of course, the seller is always in control. And I actually shared this from the Association of Realtors that said that the moment we get an offer, as soon as is humanly possible, we are supposed to forward it to the sellers. And that if the sellers said they want us to hold offers, we really need to get written direction and specific instructions on how they want us to communicate those offers to people. But saying that we're holding all offers till Monday does not mean the seller couldn't accept an offer on Sunday. So as soon as you get those offers, you should be sending those over to your sellers, and then they can make a determination. And before I would accept an offer on Sunday, I would make sure that I make it active immediately, let everybody know who's shown it that I'm about to sell it, because you never know if someone will bring in an offer that's higher, better. But in the end, the seller is the one that decides when we do and what we do. Any questions? Comments?
I have a quick question. So if you have a deadline of, say, Monday at 5 o'clock,
Yes.
and the seller suddenly just Saturday that they want to accept an offer, should we, I assume we're under obligation to let all those other agents know.
So it's not a legal obligation, but I think it's an ethical and moral. Because you know what Debbie and I were talking about earlier is that a lot of this stuff is not against the law, but you know that this area is small and the agents know each other. And we don't want consumers to feel like they didn't get a fair shake, and we don't want other real estate agents to feel like they didn't get a fair shake.
Right.
I'll share with you later, if we have time, a Baltimore Sun article. For anybody who's been around as long as I have, Al Munschauer wrote this article about a case that he heard where there was an offer that they gave. So a RE/MAX agent gave a Long and Foster listing an offer. And then they said, hey, look, we're going to do it as financing, but we could probably pay cash if we needed to. Didn't hear anything else, and then heard that the house just sold to another Long and Foster agent that bought it for themselves for the exact same amount. So, and the reason they said they chose it was because that one was cash. So it got really muddy really quick, and in that case, they ended up transferring that house back to the original RE/MAX agent's purchaser. So I think that though maybe they didn't do anything illegal, the public felt like they did. And so that particular buyer got an attorney, sued Long and Foster. It became a whole thing. So I think that anything we can do to make people feel like they got a fair shake, the better. So if I got a seller who said, oh, this is perfect, William, this is the offer I'd want, I'd say, I'm happy to take it, but we had 27 showings and we told everybody we weren't going to accept offers till Monday. Can you give me an hour to call those 27 people and just let them know that you're going to be considering an offer today? Because what if we get a higher and better offer? And if the seller says no, then the answer is no. But I think as agents, that would be what is best for our community and probably in long term best for the seller. Other questions? All right, we'll keep going. When presenting, do you need to present the offers in order of receiving them? that comes in a lot. You know, people are saying, shouldn't it be the moment I got it, I do it? And again, it's always up to the seller. So many agents like to order them as they receive them. Others, if there's 27 offers, use some type of spreadsheet. And I'm going to show that to you, hopefully. Can you guys see my spreadsheet? Okay. So this is just an example of what one of the agents here uses, but they'll lay out conditions. When you get so many offers, sometimes it is hard to keep track of everything. So in this circumstance, this agent goes through and puts in all the key terms and then writes out if they're going to keep the Butler building for 2 years or whatever else with the offer to create some type of semblance. And maybe they go over them as they receive them, but more likely they'll go over them in an order of either lowest to highest or highest to lowest. We do need to go over the offer, and more importantly, to that earlier situation I was talking about, you need to send the offer to the seller. And Debbie and I were talking right before this, and the problem happens, we get 27 offers, and Debbie said, well, each one's 59 pages. I'm not going to send 27 59-page offers to my sellers. And the answer is you have to. You must send them all to them. You could say, we'll go over it. You can do some kind of summary sheet, but you must give them all the contract, because what if there's important information that you didn't go over and they never received it? It's not fair to the buyers getting a fair shake, and it's not fair to the sellers. Does anybody else use some kind of offer template? Leslie shaking her head. I got a couple people. Good. All right, we'll keep going. If anybody has questions, unmute yourself, raise your hand, type in. Okay, a couple of people saying they do use it. Good. All right, when you say all offers must be presented, a summary page, consider presenting, and that's the answer is no. You must forward that whole offer to them. And you know, guys, while we're talking about things, the other important thing to remember is that regardless of the price that someone offers you, regardless of the terms, one of your fellow agents took at least an hour out of their life to put an offer together. So you should always acknowledge that you received the offer, say thank you for your time, and most importantly, when they pick one out of 27 offers, you need to take the time to sit on the phone and call those other 26 agents and say, Wink, thank you for taking the time to put that offer together. Leslie, I really appreciate it. Unfortunately, they accepted another offer. And then if Leslie says, well, why? The response should just be the sellers chose another offer. You guys want to be careful what you're saying to your other agents. Even though you love each other, you work with each other all the time, you can put your seller or you in harm's way by saying, well, because they knew them from church. Well, because you were veteran, a VA loan, and they were going conventional. Well, it was $2,000 more. So many pieces, we shouldn't be really talking about it, but we should take the time to call and thank people when we receive an offer and say, I'm sorry they chose another offer after. And then to me, the next question would be, but Leslie, would your people be willing to be a backup offer? And then get a list of who would be willing to be a backup offer. Because right now we're down in inventory about 50%. And we're the highest level in sales. In Anne Arundel County in March, that was the highest level of all time of our sales. But we also have a record amount of fall throughs for that exact reason, because like 2005, buyers say it was for sale for $500,000 and I paid $510,000. They should fix everything in the house. Everything should be perfect. I paid them $10,000 more than they're asking. But in a seller's head, they say, I received 32 offers and the house was on the market for 3 minutes. I shouldn't have to do anything. And they should be so pleased that I'm willing to sell my house to them. So we're still having a lot of fall throughs. In the past, the statistic was 85% of fall throughs happen at home inspection. My guess is it's probably even more than that since COVID. So People are going to expect more from a buyer's end because they paid more, and sellers are going to expect to do less. And sometimes we can't meet in the middle. So understanding who will wait in for the other be a backup offer is important. While we're talking about backup offers, I didn't even bring the addendum, but this question came up the other day in another class I was teaching. Any of you who have been doing it since 1912, like me, remember that the backup offer addendum used to say that your buyer will wait and not go look at other homes or anything else until a period of time. The old addendums locked the buyer in, but the seller would go forward with the primary offer unless that offer fell through, and then Dennis would become, the backup offer would become the primary offer. The new backup addendum, it doesn't say that. The buyer can disconnect the backup offer at any time by giving notice, written notice to the seller. So that's changed a lot. Not everybody has realized that. So many agents, Leslie will say, no, I don't do a backup offer. I want to help you find another home. You can still be the backup offer, go find another home. And when you do, then you can do it. But if you're the backup and that other deal falls through, you may become the primary. And remember, when they're negotiating home inspection, the buyer's agent asks for 28 items. I have a backup offer, maybe even for more, or at least probably a good close second. Would I negotiate that home inspection differently? Would I be likely to say, no, we're not going to clean all the windows on the home in the home inspection, and I'm okay if you walk because I have someone else waiting in the wings? So I don't think enough people are using backup offers as they should be.
William?
Yes.
So do you negotiate that backup offer if it's not to the seller's liking, or do you just let it ride and then if we need it, then negotiate?
Absolutely. So her question is, so we have a backup offer. I'm just going to make numbers up here. Let's just say the primary offer was 500 and the second best one is 490. Seller says, I don't want to have 490 as a backup offer since I have 500. But if they would come up to 500 or 495 or something else, you can still negotiate that right then and then sign it as a backup. Or some agents will just say, hey, Wink, we will consider your offer, but we're not going to sign it at this point as an official backup. We're just going to wait 4 days to see how this home inspection goes. So you can do either. You can ask the agent if they're not willing to sign a formal backup, negotiate a second contract. But I would, Bewilder, if it was me, I would try to negotiate that second deal if possible. While everybody's excited, they feel like, oh gosh, I just lost out over probably a few $1,000s. That was my dream home. I've always wanted to live there. That's the time to negotiate. That brings into the next thing, negotiation. What about counteroffers? How do we feel about counteroffers? Does anybody use counteroffers? Well, I'll say that as nobody uses counteroffers, and that's probably a good thing. So I use this acknowledgement of offer form to remind you guys, you have to be really careful when you counteroffer somebody. And when you tell them that the seller will take $550. Wink, if you can get me $550, we've got a done deal. And then 2 minutes later, they're going to get an offer for $585, and then you can't maybe take it. So the best thing to always use is something like this. This says the seller has received an offer and cannot accept it as written. However, the seller may consider an offer which includes the following. And then next that cut off, the bottom of it says this is not a binding counteroffer. It's a seller may accept. You always want to use those words right now because you just have no idea whether another better offer is going to come in, and we don't want to limit the seller's choices. Yes.
William, I got a question that says, after seller has received one of the multiple offers but not signed yet, a rejected buyer resubmits a better offer. Now
yes,
what?
So what happens if the offers keep changing? And we're going to get into some of the verbal stuff because we also have the question, Leslie says, well, I'm offering 520, but don't accept anything without calling me first to see if my people, because I think they'll go up. So you can renegotiate back and forth up until you communicate that to the other agent. So another hidden hazard that happens is, we actually had one here where there was a primary seller who signed it, but the son was also on it, which was sort of a rubber stamp. Our agent communicated to them and said, hey, it's signed, congratulations. I'm just driving over to the son's to get him to sign it. And then we get a higher offer on the drive there. So you guys can continue to negotiate until you return it. And another hidden hazard people don't realize, even if we accept an offer, even if everything is done, you must still continue to present all offers. So Al, again, Munschauer, he told a story of a lawsuit that he did where the property was at settlement. They're at the settlement table. And someone knocks on the glass door during settlement and said, is that 123 Main Street? Yeah. Tell the seller, I'll sell it, I'll buy it for $550 today. I said, no, it's already in settlement. You just tell him that. And the agent did not tell the seller that. So he did not present to offer it because they were at settlement. But even at settlement, you still must present all offers. We can't decide whether we have a binding offer. Only an attorney can look at that and decide if there's a way out, how they would negotiate or whatever else. We should never be telling people don't bring an offer, or I've already got an offer, I'm not looking at it. We have to continue to get whatever comes in and present it to our people. And that includes counteroffers and changes. And it gets super complicated. So to me, I wouldn't do any negotiation on the phone. I have a memory. We have people hearing one thing and something else. They're talking back and forth and we're going over an offer. Okay, Leslie, if you can get that change made for me from your buyer's end and over to me, I'm going to present it to them right away. Or can you follow that up with a text or an email with me so I can go over that counter offer with the sellers? Don't take verbals because it happens always at 8 o'clock at night. We're exhausted. We've had a long day and we make mistakes that way. And the buyers think you've agreed to one thing and the seller thinks you agreed to another. So as a listing agent, I prefer the buyer to make the change and get it to me. If that is impossible, I at least want a text or an email with some of those specifics. Questions? Okay, we'll keep going.
I do have a question.
Please.
If the buyer says, or the seller says to you, I don't want to look at any more offers, I'm accepting this one, that scenario at the title company signing the papers, if the buyer has already given you instructions, they don't want to look at anything else, you still have to do it?
So if it was William, the answer is yes. And here's what would happen. You sent me an offer and my seller said, I'm so sick of this. I don't want to see any other offers. I'm going to call you, Leslie, and say, hey, it's William. I know you told me don't tell you, but it's a law. I got to just tell you. You can tell me to go pound sand, but we just got an offer. Can I send it to you? Can I go over it with you? Because here's what happens. They're sick of it on Friday night at 6 o'clock and they tell you, I want no other offers. Monday, they feel different. That's the hard part. Now they're not exhausted anymore. And if they found out later that there was an offer for $25,000 more, they're not going to want to hear that. And I shared with you earlier here, this was from Maryland Realtors, and they were just saying, when people say hold an offer, I'm going to accept all offers on a Monday, for example. Maryland Realtors is saying you need written direction. And then you need to discuss, even though we're holding it on Monday, that we're still going to be sending you the offers as they come so that they're sure. And if somebody told me I don't want to hear about any other offers, I'd say it's sort of my job. I got to send it all to you, but you don't have to open it. You don't have to read it. I can't make you change it, but I would hate for you to lose $50,000, $100,000, $1 million because I never even showed it to you. How would you feel if somebody was going to offer you an extra $1 million?
Gotcha.
So this came from Maryland Realtors as well. I know we as agents don't think this is exactly fair because, you know, they say you must present all offers as soon as possible. And what does that mean? It's my daughter's birthday. It is my anniversary. It will always land on something important. And so I can't present it for 2 days. Maryland Realtors says that isn't what it says. It says soon as possible that the seller can review the contract, not the agent. And it specifically says the agent cannot hold out on a contract or wait a couple days because the agent isn't available. So you need to get that over to them as soon as possible, and you need to go over it. And if you're not available, you need to get another agent or someone else available. You can't tell the seller, I'm going to be gone for a couple days and let an offer sit. Because those buyers may have been willing to pay $1 million for Leslie's place today, but then they find another place tomorrow. And that's not fair to the seller that we represent, that they lost that deal because I was away for the weekend with my wife. All right, what do we got next? Can you as an agent limit how many offers? Hopefully you know the answer is absolutely not, but I swear agents do this. So that's why I need to talk about it. They get 28 offers and they're like, oh my God, Mr. Seller, I got 28 offers. Can I tell them I'm not taking any more? This is just too much work for me. Is that what's in the best interest of our seller? Should we ever, ever, ever shut off the hose of offers? Is there any way possible that we could not know that the 29th offer would be the best offer? So I would never suggest you going to a seller ever in your life and telling them, I want to shut this off. And I know it's a lot of work for you guys, but that's what we signed on for. And if we're lucky enough to do 29 offers, we need to present 29 offers. And again, if an agent is willing to spend 2 hours of their life with a buyer to create that offer, I need to take 20 minutes to go through that offer.
William, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi. I hear you. Valerie?
A little bit. I heard you say, yeah, is it my internet not working?
You heard me say what?
If you got, let's say, 5 offers, let's just keep it small, and you said to submit your best and final and no escalation clauses. We would like to see no escalation clauses. Well, let's just say I still threw one in there. Now, my buyer's offer is the highest and the best. Well, the terms are the best, but we're a little bit lower in price. So they come back to me and say, well, the highest price right now is $575. Would you be willing to go to $576? My buyers, of course, did that, but is that not price fixing?
I think you're talking about shopping an offer. Dun, dun, dun. All right, Valerie, I knew you would be the one that would put me on the spot for the last thing in the world I ever want to go over. But we need to talk about it. So I have slides in here about it. So why do I say it's the worst thing to go over? And the answer is because it's nuanced. What we as real estate agents can never, ever do is I can't get an offer and say, got an offer, $520,000. Walk through the office and say, hey, just got an offer, 123 Main Street. It's $520,000. Anybody, can they beat that? We can't do that. That is the definition of shopping an offer. Shopping an offer is the practice of informing, and this is, by the way, from Maryland Realtors, informing other potential buyers or their agents the price and terms that have been made on your own listing. Regards to shopping an offer, simply disclosing the existence of an offer is not shopping, and most of us have in our listing agreement a choice for the seller to choose whether to disclose the existence of other offers or not. Most people put disclose the existence of other offers, but the reason we have to ask the sellers is there is always this hidden hazard that if I have one offer and it's a sucky offer and I got a second offer coming in and I say, hey, we already have an offer, that second offer might not write because they don't want to compete and they might have been the best offer. So we need to get permission from the seller whether to do that. So brokers and licensees cannot take information from an offer and share it out to anyone ever. Okay, that is illegal. We are not allowed to do that. But it gets nuanced. So if you guys notice in your Maryland Realtors buyer broker, now some of you have different companies, so I'm only using the main Maryland Realtor one, but it says on E, confidentiality of offers. Buyer acknowledges the possibility that the seller, not the agent, the seller or seller's representative may not treat the existence, terms, conditions of the buyer's offer as confidential information. So we're supposed to be explaining to all our buyers that unless they include some kind of confidentiality agreement, the terms of their offer given to the seller is not confidential to the seller. So again, the Code of Ethics is going to tell us that confidentiality of offers, we may not treat the existence, terms, and conditions as confidential information. So, but can the seller share details of an offer? So Valerie, to paraphrase what you said, they came back and said, highest and best offer. Well, we've already got an offer for $550,000. Would you go to $551,000? Is that shopping an offer? And I say it's nuanced. I don't think the seller is under any obligation to not share that I have an offer for $550,000 and would you go to $551,000? I think that would probably be okay, but I am not an attorney and it's very nuanced. But we can definitely not take information from an offer and share it out into the world. But a seller can counter at any number. And Valerie, what I would have probably said was, I got 6 offers. My seller said they'd be willing to work with you at $551,000. I mean, again, it's nuance. It's just a better way of saying than actually physically saying I got an offer for $550,000. But I don't think that would be considered by shopping an offer. What do you guys think? I usually get a lot of angst and anxiety about this. Anybody want to ask questions? No? Okay, you guys are too easy.
Are we allowed to ask for a copy if we're using an escalation clause of just the front? Can you?
Oh, good question. Yes, so no, you are not. So back in 2005, when we used to do this, again, you know, the hard thing about being an agent that's done a long time, we learn one way and it changes. And sometimes we revert back to remembering how we used to do it. 2005, when escalation clauses first happened, it said that we were to share the other offer. Then people sued and said, you had no right to share my offer. This was my offer to the seller. You can't show it to another person. So then it said, share the front page at least so we can see the price. Again, shouldn't be doing that. That's got people's names on it and everything else. So our escalation addendum from Maryland Realtors now says that what we will share is a seller proceeds signed by the seller. So the only thing we're going to do is take that next best offer. We're going to do the seller proceeds. So 500,000 minus 10,000 in closing is 490. Half of the transfer and recordation brings it to 480. The seller's going to sign it and say, yeah, that's what I understood the offer to be. You said you would pay $10,000 above the best offer. Yours netted here, so that would be 10,000 would bring it to 490. That's all we're supposed to provide.
So I have a question.
Please.
So what if they are the same offer? It's going to net the seller the same exact thing. Maybe the terms were different, inspections, whatever it may be.
Yes.
So then just the buyer's agent gets 2 seller net sheets that show the exact same thing?
So if 2 offers are the exact same, so you're saying they're escalating up to the same amount?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, so if I escalated, I must provide a seller net.
Yeah.
And if that seller net is the same, that's okay. I would share it to whichever one that they want to work with and say, this is why we escalated. Now, guys, understand escalation clauses are not a binding contract yet. So in your circumstance, let's just use numbers, both of those escalate up to 590. We can't accept either one of those yet. We have to go on to the escalation clause. We have to show that seller net. We have to put the new sale price. It was 570. We've escalated to 590. Put in 590,000. Return it to the buyer's agent as a counter. The buyer's agent needs to then have their buyers sign it to say they accept that price, and then we have a deal. So what other thing that Valerie said earlier was, well, some people are saying they don't want any escalation clauses. And the reason is for that, because it's still a counter. We still have to one more step before we have a binding contract. So unfortunately, some agents are telling sellers not to do it, and some sellers are saying they don't want to monkey with it. So it is an additional step that needs to happen before we can accept that. Also, remember with escalation clauses, you need to have a delta that is big enough for a seller to care to go through that additional step. So if I said that I am going to accept an escalation that's $150, $250, $500 more than the highest offer, I have one offer in my hand that if I sign right now, it's done. Or for $500, I can play a game where I have to put in the price, do the seller net, send it back to you. Your buyers have to sign it, get it back to me. Is it worth it? So you want to make sure that delta is big enough that motivates a seller to want to do that. Wink, did you have a question? I sort of saw your hand.
Yeah, I recently had a situation with two really good offers, escalation clauses. We kept going back and forth and back, escalating and escalating. And finally, I just said to the seller, if you're happy with this, just take it, because we could lose everybody. But I didn't do the net sheet to each buyer's agent. It was moving so fast.
So what you did, Wink, was we ignored the escalation clause, which you can do. So you can have that removed. Now, theoretically, since it's part of the offer, buyers should strike it, sign and say, remove this. And then now we're just negotiating. We're not using the actual escalation anymore. And guys, it gets super confusing when you keep upping your escalation clause, because in the end, in order for that addendum to be part of it, Wink, is what you just said, is the addendum specifically says we are going to give them a signed seller net before we escalate it. Otherwise, we're still at that initial price. So we're not allowed to raise it, but what you did was counteroffer. But you need to remove that escalation addendum.
We didn't even counteroffer. We just sat there, and the buyer's agents were just bringing it.
But that's still a counter, right? They're still changing their offer. And in the end, they should strike out that escalation addendum, change the front page to the price that they finally do, and then we all sign it.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
William,
Okay, wait a minute. We got the question. Those numbers can be manipulated, exclamation point. Of course, they can. I mean, you're asking, can people lie, cheat, and steal? The answer is yes, they can. But also understand that if my house, you gave me an offer for $550 and you said you could escalate it to 600, I think the biggest thing that most agents do is just counter at 600. Don't even get involved with what Wink was saying earlier about the escalation. I'll just counter you and say seller may accept $600,000. If you're okay with that, remove that escalation clause and send me the new price. Because you've already told them you're willing to pay $600 for the house. So many sellers are going to come back with that number. Okay, often the winner feels like
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Yep.
Can I ask one more scenario?
Yes.
So, okay, you have two offers and you have purchase price escalations and they both go up to 500,000. And the buyer's agent, you're representing the seller, buyer's agent who gets to that 500,000 goes, okay, here's the seller net sheet that shows essentially the same proceeds. And this is back to my first question, the same seller net for each offer because they both went up to 500,000. But then that buyer's agent is asking, well, why? I need to see the purchase price escalation clause because I want to see that there was another purchase price escalation that made mine go up to the 500,000.
I'm
But
sorry
what
you
do
feel that way, but I can't show you anything. That's somebody else's offer. The only thing that I can show you is a seller's net. And if you'd like to Google lawsuits from escalation clauses, Mr. Buyer Agent, you can see all of them, and I'm never going to get involved in that. The only thing I'm allowed to show you is a seller's net. I am not allowed to show you anybody else's stuff.
I think that's perfect, and I think that's what we all needed to hear.
And would you like it? How do you feel if you did an offer and I took your personal offer information and shared it with someone else, even a page of it? Would you feel good about that?
Oh, no. And like, as representing the seller, I wouldn't want to do that and show anyone else's offer.
Absolutely. So the
just know
question
it's
earlier was, can they manipulate it? Could they lie, cheat, and steal? Yes, but I mean, the answer is they could with a lot of things. We can't do anything about it. There is no proof, is what you guys are looking for, that we can provide to them anymore. Often the winner feels like the loser and skeptical. Yes. So I was going to show this later, but so this is that Al Munchauer thing that I was telling you about, the article that was in the Baltimore Sun. And the answer is that person felt skeptical that someone beat them out, or didn't, they feel skeptical that there wasn't another offer to that amount and that things aren't there, and they can file lawsuits and people have to back that up then. Attorneys would get involved and ask to see the other information. Reject the escalation in writing and counter. I think Colette said you would change something on the escalation clause. Well, so if I was countering, I would typically remove the escalation clause. If escalation clause is the same and the seller decided based on a letter that was included from one of the buyers, is that legal? Oh, Valerie, I don't know why I invited you to this meeting. So these are all hard questions. So she's saying, I'm a buyer's agent. I know there's 57 offers on this, and I want to win out. So I'm going to share all the information on how I love the cherry trees. Oh my God, that swing out back is amazing. I'm going to sit on that deck every day, and I'm going to write all this wonderful stuff about why I would just love their house. You can legally do that. Just be careful that we don't put either the seller or our buyer in any fair housing situation. So when we start sharing pictures, we start talking about our background, our religious, we go to the same church. The newest one, which I have a slides on here for you, is source of income. So that is now a concern. So if they are a veteran and that is their source of income, they are now a protected class, where 4 months ago they were not. This has happened in March for all of Maryland. We used to have certain counties that had source of income as a protection. Now the whole state of Maryland does. So as a buyer's agent, I'm going to advise my people to not put in stuff that's fair housing, because by doing that, there is a possibility that the seller may not want to look at it. And if I am a listing agent and there's fair housing concerns in there, I ask the seller, we received this letter, there may be some fair housing things in here. Would you like to see it or not? But yes, I mean, in the end, the seller chooses who they sell it to, as long as it's not a protected class for the reason why they chose. Okay, what else we got here? 2 offers received. Both buyers asked for highest and best. One buyer decides not to bid. What do you tell or not tell the remaining buyer? So you don't have to tell anything when you put out highest and best. So highest and best just means that what we do is when 2 offers or 22 offers, we reach out to everybody and say, I'm going to be presenting tonight at 5 p.m. It's going to take me time to review all these offers. So please bring me your highest and best offer by 3 o'clock, so I'll have time to do that. Now, that does not mean that if you get one at 3:30, you say, oh, you missed the deadline, I'm not presenting it. You still must do it, but that's just a way to ask for the highest and best. And the question is, if one ups their offer and the other one stays the same, do we need to communicate that? And of course not. We wouldn't communicate anything to do with any of the offers to anybody. But getting writing from seller, can you go over escalation? Sure, I think we talked a little bit about it, and maybe if I have time at the end, I'll just pull up and go over the entire addendum. But the idea of an escalation clause is eBay. reason that eBay works is because many people start things at $1 and you end up paying $47 for the shirt. And for me, what happens is I'm not paying any more than $45 for the shirt. And then it goes to 46 and I'm like, it's only $1. I really wanted that shirt, and they keep bidding. But at the end, I know that hopefully, unless again, there's cheater bidders, that I only paid $1 more than the highest offer. I didn't pay $22 more. So for some buyers, they want to use an escalation clause to limit their exposure to way overpaying on a property by saying, I will only pay $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 above the highest net of an offer. Always remember the word is net. If we have a $500,000 offer and we have $50,000 in closing, that is not a $500,000 offer that we escalate $5,000 more. It's a $450,000 net offer that we escalate $5,000 more. And then we give a seller net sheet signed by the seller saying that we had this offer at $450,000 net. You said you go 5,000 up. And then on the second page of the escalation, we write in the new price is $455,000. The new buyer has up until tonight to accept that new price. Otherwise, we're going to move on. And then you send that to the buyer. The buyer must then make that signature, and then we have a binding deal. How do you feel about the escalation clause? I had a buyer present an offer on multiple offer situation, and they wanted to include an escalation. The offer was rejected. Listing agent said escalation clauses just made them mad. They felt buyers should give their highest and best from the get-go. So that's what I was talking about earlier. You know, guys, I know that the buyer says, I'm really worried that I'm going to pay way more than what other people are going to pay. But to a seller, it's additional work. And again, you've already tipped your hand and said you're going to pay that higher amount. And to some sellers, they said, then just pay that higher amount. Don't play all these games and tell me you only want to go $1,000 above another offer and I have to create this sheet and sign it and get another counter offer. So you just have to be careful. And I think the person that decides is always going to be the buyer. If I had a choice, my buyer was going to offer $550,000 or an escalating the $550,000 with $1,000, they're more likely to get the property just doing a straight offer than they may with the escalation. But some buyers aren't going to feel comfortable going way over asking for that. I think that's all the questions so far. All right. Other questions? How are we doing on time? Okay, I got 10 minutes. I do want to talk about, I sort of briefly went through it, but I think it's important for everybody to be clear on this because there's a lawsuit going on right now in DC about the new fair housing status. So remember that source of income is now a protected class. So we cannot accept or not accept someone based on what they get. And that may include, we're going to find out from the courts, whether saying, that's what I was saying earlier, you don't want to share any information, saying, Wink, I'm sorry, they would have taken your offer, but you're VA. And you know how hard those VA appraisals are. So in DC, they told the agent that they did not take the deal because the person was VA, and you know how hard those appraisals are. For people that have been doing it like 1912 with me, it used to be that VA and FHA had a lot of overlays on their appraisals. They don't anymore. They have very few differences between a VA, FHA, and conventional appraisal any longer. So this consumer felt like they were slighted because of their source of income, which is a veteran, and that the agent shared false information with the seller by saying a VA loan is less easy to get or has more overlays on the appraisal than another. And I know somebody will pop up and say, but with VA, the seller has to pay $50 for the termite. Again, that's all part of the offer. We just want to be careful that what we're communicating to the seller is true. And number two is that we are not making a decision on which we take by source of income. and it's brand new for you guys, so I just want to make sure it's in your head. Do we have questions about that? The question, what do you say to 19 offers that did not get the house? I think we talked about that a little bit. I just think you just have to make the phone call and say, Wink, thank you so much for the offer. We really appreciate it. They accepted another offer. And they're going to needle you for what did they accept. You can't tell them this deal can fall through. You are not allowed to get in any conversation about it. And you guys don't get your feelings hurt when they won't even know you're best friends with them. You just went out to dinner with that agent last night, that they won't share any information about why they didn't take your offer. Oh, okay, this is a good question. What can you, the buyer, do if you find out another offer was accepted? So Wink tells me they accepted another offer. They've already accepted another offer. Can I up my offer now? Leslie's saying yes. The answer is yes. So if we had it happen, so we've said, okay, then we'll go to 550. No, we already accepted another offer. That's fine, but we'd like to up our offer. I'm going to put it in writing, change it to 550, have my buyer sign it. By the way, guys, when you make changes, the best thing to do is give the whole 59-page package again. Please don't just send a single piece of paper. It is so hard to keep it all together. You want to send the whole package back to that agent, even though they told you they accepted another offer. Because we don't know what the sellers might do. We don't know if they have an initial and everything. We have no idea what the other thing is. If the buyer says, I'll pay 550, I am writing 550 and sending that to the listing agent. And then we'll figure it out from there. Oh, wait a minute. I think I got a couple questions. VA is actually a great loan right now if client is active duty, low risk of becoming unemployed. Absolutely. Yes, USDA and VA are harder loans to close than conventional, aren't they? USDA, I don't know, but VA, no. So VA right now, most of the overlays that the lenders, and you need to talk to the lenders you do business with and ask this question, but most of the lenders I've spoken to tell me that most of the overlays, which are the additional requirements on how long a comp can be away from the home, how old it is, condition of the property, you guys always remember the handrails and all that stuff. All that kind of stuff has been revamped because veterans used to be in a worse situation, that people weren't accepting their loan because they served our country, and that's awful. They served our country and they have an inferior loan to someone that didn't. So they got rid of a lot of that stuff. So I don't know of any additional overlays on VA any longer. USDA, I don't know. I had 6 offers on one property, 2 with escalation clauses. The seller chose one without an escalation clause, so their net was less than the others. However, their terms are more attractive to them. No financing and quick closing. 2 agents were furious when I shared the net spreadsheet. Okay, well, if you're not going to choose those offers, guys, you do not need to share the net spreadsheet any longer. You only do that for the offer that you're escalating. The conversation to everybody else is, I'm sorry, they accepted another offer. You don't need to get involved in that. Okay, we're doing good. I got 7 minutes. Let's see what else we got. Agents can tell other agents that they have an offer in hand, and if asked, can respond by asking the buyer to make a strong offer. Oh, I know what the other thing I wanted to talk about. Variable commission. And I sort of moved all around in this thing. Variable commission. And what do you do when you have an unrepresented buyer on a multiple contract situation? How do you handle that? Anyone? Okay. So I'll give you my feel, and this is not a law or a rule. So an unrepresented buyer, it is not illegal or unethical in any way for you to treat that offer like all other offers. But back to what we were talking about before, perception. When we find out the unrepresented buyer, like that earlier case I shared, got the property and maybe even got it by very little difference between other offers, everybody is going to think that you shared some information with that unrepresented buyer so that you could get both sides of the commission. That's just how they're going to feel, 100% guaranteed. If an unrepresented buyer gets the deal at a very close number, the public and your fellow agents will think they have not gotten a fair shake. So it's up to you, your company and area, how you handle it. Here, what we do is if there is an unrepresented buyer, we usually have all offers sent to another agent, or in this case, the manager. They would all come to me. Soon as I find out that one of my agents is doing an unrepresented buyer, I don't want them to see the other offers. So nobody could ever complain later that they saw all the other offers and then made $1,000 more than that to beat them. And if there was another offer before that they had already seen, I reach out to those people and just say, hey, just want to let you know, the agent is writing on an unrepresented buyer. We're asking for highest and best. If you'd like to raise your offer in any way, please send it directly to me. It just helps people feel like there's some separation between. And the other question we have is variable commission. So you guys know in Bright now, you must tell the public, tell your fellow agents whether or not you are going to change your commission for an unrepresented buyer. You are not allowed to change your commission for an unrepresented buyer if you put variable commission no. And if you put variable commission yes, that is putting all the other agents on notice that if there's an unrepresented buyer, the seller might be charged less commission. So I might have to up my offer even a little bit more based on the commission. Does that make sense? I think I've talked way too much already. Is there other questions? I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Anybody else have any last minute questions or things they want to talk about? Things you guys do that works?
Hello.
Hi.
So I don't see a lot of this out there anymore, but in past years, we would have bonuses in addition to commission amounts. Let's just say that that's in play. I don't see a lot of it, like I said, but let's just say there's a bonus involved offered by the seller to the buyer's agent or the buyer company. And then the agent representing the buyer decides, I'm going to forego that for various reasons, legal, ethical, what have you. Does that need to be disclosed to everybody else? I wouldn't think so.
No,
but
it does not.
How do you see that working around here?
So he's saying if I put a listing up and I say there's $1,000 bonus to the buyer's agent, and when they're doing the calculations from the seller, 6 of the offers the agents plan on taking the bonus and 1 of them they don't, they would just communicate that. It would always have to come from the broker saying they're not going to take the bonus, not the agent. But that wouldn't be any different than me upping an offer $1,000 if it's $1,000 bonus. And as you say, in a hot market, we're not going to see a lot of bonuses. As the market gets cold one day, we'll probably see those again. And many people did used to waive them. And if you guys have ever done HUD homes, you can actually choose your commission on a HUD home, but we don't disclose it to anybody else. So you can accept 1 fee or less, and it is actually on your HUD bid form. Anybody else?
William, would you be willing to share your slide presentation with Debbie, who can pass it on to us who've attended your very informative meeting here?
Yes, and I don't know what's appropriate, but I have that Excel spreadsheet thing too I can share. It's already built, so it's kind of nice just to lay out the offers.
That would be great. Thank you.
Doesn't have any CV stuff on it. It's just an Excel spreadsheet.
Great. Thank you so much.
Anybody else have any last minute questions? How amazing is this? It is 10:59. I could not have put that together that way. Great job.
Good job. Good job. Very, very informative. Thank you.
Thank you guys for
Thank you
taking
very
the time. Treat each
Thank
other
you.
good.
Let's give
Okay,
William
thank you.
a big round of applause. Thank
Yay.
you. Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
Take care.
Thank you, William.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very much.
thank you, Laura, for recommending William and recommending this topic. I think it was very well received.
You're welcome.
Merry
Thank you.
Christmas, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
Laura.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Martha and
Thank
William
you.
are on the